Yo, yo. Feeding the ducks is right. What's going on? Hopefully you can hear me. No idea if this is working, but you got to start somewhere. How's everybody's Monday going? Some Canucks have a long weekend. Everyone south of the 49th, probably not. Feeding the ducks. Try the old classic night driving, change it up a little bit, then go back to feeding the ducks. Good times. %75 alcohol by volume. Woo! That'll put some hair on your chest. I don't think I've had Stagg. I think I've seen it before, but I don't think I've had it. Wow. Did you add water to it? That must have been something Evan G brought. That guy is out of control. Jet fuel. Oh, yeah. That's like Concorde jet fuel. ever had 75% something that high? I don't think so. That is pretty intense. 69. Okay. That's still pretty wild. Oh, we got here. We got Logan Hall. What's going on, brother? Got the barbecue going? 69.1%. That is still balls to the wall. Wow. Okay, there we go. So if Diego's still here, is that something that Mr. Evan brought? I would have had to definitely put a couple drops of water in there. I'm not manly enough. Chicken leg quarters on the grill over the... Oh, I guess I can pull this up, since it's my show. Look at that. I totally forgot I could pull comments up. I'm still thinking I'm guessing somebody else's show. I did chicken leg quarters on the grill over the... Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, you posted that. It looked awesome. So I guess leftovers? So how do you do the leftovers? What's the way you doing a college student style, just microwaving it, putting them back on the grill, cold? What's the Logan Hall recipe for leftovers? If there is leftovers. I shouldn't assume. Number 3 gin. Has anyone ever had it? I finally got 2 bottles coming my way in the next couple of days from out of province. Can't buy it here, but I hear it is the bee's knees. I think his name is Alessio or Alessandro, something like that. The guy, the legend at Duke's Bar in London. This is all he uses, so I figured I wanted to try it out. Ordered a couple. Some family coming in soon. They're doing me a solid bringing it in. So, Evan G is in the chat. Before I get to that, follow up to my question. Bring them back up to heat on the grill, but usually just put them in the oven. Oh, you're right. The oven, 325. 20 minutes. You can tell I'm not much of a cook since I rarely use the oven. I don't even think of it. I use it for lasagnas. And for keeping pizzas warm. Whoever invented the keep warm setting, freaking legend. George T. Stagg. Okay. Let's, you know what? Okay. Try and Google it here. I'm going to try and pull it up. Remember how to do this. Interesting. Yes, I am. I don't have an air fryer, Logan Hall. I don't cook enough. I know everybody would say, oh, you can use it for everything, but I have a Foreman grill and I use that like once every 6 months. So air fryer, it's just me, man. So if I cook at home, even though, I don't know, maybe an air fryer is simple. It seems like it's a lot of work. I really need to get a second monitor. I didn't realize how hard this would be if you only have one monitor. I'm trying to share screen and use StrumYard. Okay, what do we got here? George T. Stagg, Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. I have never had this. This one on the picture is only 58.45. I love how they got to be like the the 0.45, like it's timing the Olympic trials, instead of just saying 58.5. I guess that's a good thing. Mr. Stagg built the most dominant American distiller of the 19th century. Interesting. Robust bourbon, nearly a decade, and boasts the bold character that is reminiscent of the man himself. Well, I don't know Mr. Stagg, but seems like a guy that would be fun to hang out with. I can only picture this guy probably has like an amazing mustache, like wrinkles from smoking stogies for like 30 years, shotgun over his shoulder, just hanging out, just like a bro on a Saturday afternoon. Very rare. Seriously, never able to have that. Wow. So this was a special edition bottle, something that, like, have you been saving it? Is it something that is just really expensive, but you can buy? Like, are we talking this is a aluminum Pepsi? Are we talking about this is a current Pepsi? What are we talking about here? If I were to go onto Wine Searcher right now, would I be able to find this, or would I have to drop like $5K? America. What a boss. What a boss. I mean, he's not here, so if you wanted, you could probably take credit for it. Holy. RIP to $4,000. What I could do with 4,000 USD right now. Oh, man. Most people, I could probably buy an entire house. Converting that into American dollars anyway. Or Canadian, pardon me. Okay, back to the screen here. Lush Toffee. Starting off to something good here. I already like it. Toffee, sweetness, dark chocolate. Add another check mark. It's 2 wins for me. That's 2 for me. Add in the Ray Lewis clip there. That's 2 for me. Vanilla, fudge, nougat. Holy crap, this sounds unreal. Molasses, notes of dates, tobacco. Holy smokes. Berry, spearmint, hint of coffee, ground on the palate. Wow, that seems absolutely incredible. And looking at that color, holy smokes, man. 5 stars, highest recommendation by F. Paul. Does that mean Paul's an F boy? F. Paul. Just kidding. 96.5. Jim Murray, Whiskey Bible. Oh, okay. One of the whiskeys of the year, easily. Jim clearly wasn't that impressed. Wonder if this was the year that Crown Royal Northern Harvest won out. Probably not. Double Crown seems like my man. Just going for the gusto right there. Double Crown. Another boss of a legend. Sample pours, what you got going on? I wonder, I mean, I could probably drop the link. I think I only have the free thing here. I also don't know how to drop the link, but I mean, if you want, I could drop the link. Otherwise, yeah, what do you sample pouring, Evan? Unless, or maybe you're not back in Denver. I'm not sure. Maybe you're still out with the boys on the East Coast. He's just finding himself. He's just finding himself, finding his way. By copy and pasting it. Oh, so it's literally just me copying and pasting it from the browser? I'm guessing it's my browser bar, I guess. think there'd be a fancy button to say, drop link now. All right, whoever the 2 or 3 legends are that are watching this right now, there's the link. This might be a complete waste of your time. There might be other better things to do, like streams of watching painted doors dry. I don't know. I'm sure something's going on. That's better than Kyle on a late Monday afternoon sipping espresso at his computer after having cheap steak and Alfredo. All good, Kevin. Peace out, man. Enjoy dinner. Evan G is back in the land of the losing since the Avalanche just lost. Now you know how the other half feels. I actually thought Colorado would have a good chance of winning that series, but I guess not. Well, actually, I shouldn't say it doesn't matter. I don't know if Dallas is going to win, but I think whoever comes out of the other series, Game 7 tonight, Vancouver, Edmonton, it's a good chance. If it's Edmonton, I hate Edmonton more than I think anybody in the entire league. But so it pains me to say this, but if they win tonight and win the series, I think they can go to the Cup final. Oh, no way, the Nuggets got booted too? Didn't know that. Go T-Wolves. I had no idea the T-Wolves were anywhere even near a playoff spot until like 10 days ago. I thought they were still, 20-60 or whatever. Annual release letters. Oh, we can read the letters. Okay, sure. Oh, that downloads that. Okay, get it. I don't want to open up a PDF on screen. Screw everything up. Wasn't it last year the Nuggets won the chip? So did they lose a bunch of players? Like how come they would need to be more rounded all of a sudden? His back hurts. Just putting everybody on his back, eh? Well, you can clearly tell I have no idea about that George T. Stagg was part of the Buffalo Trace Distillery. Clearly shows that I don't know much about bourbon. Van Winkle. I've been wanting to try Van Winkle. Just open that shortly. Van Winkle, and then the Pappy Van Winkle, or Old Man Van Winkle. There's like 2 or 3 different ones I've been really wanting to try. I've had this. I think there's a review on the channel coming soon. I haven't released it yet. I think it's coming up in next weekend, I think. I still got to do a video. I have also the Blanton's Gold. Would that be on here? Which one? Okay, it's not this one. This is not the one I have. This is the one. Yeah. Correct. Okay. Oops. Yeah, this is the one I got. I'm not sure. I almost think I like. Sorry, boys. I think I almost like the classic one better. This one. Just making sure you can see everything because I'm an amateur here. I only have one monitor. I'm sharing screens. Really need to get a better setup here. Yeah, I think I like the original more than the gold. The gold's good, but yeah, the original one I like a little bit more. But I haven't had either of them in so long. They've just been sitting in hibernation. Grizzly bear. Let's see. So America's the bourbon guy, eh? Link for America 58711 or whatever the number is going by today. Up on the Strum. Okay, world's first single barrel bourbon by Mr. Emery Lee, named after Colonel Albert Blanton. Elmer recalled, screen's jumping around here a little bit, recalled how Colonel Blanton would sometimes handpick a honey barrel in the center of Warehouse H to enjoy with others. Oh, that's kind of cool. Nice little boys club. Many years later, the Blanton's brand was created. Today, Blanton's single barrel has become one of the most revered and award-winning bourbons on the market. Well, that's for sure. It's always sold out, even if apparently I believe the Pappies and the Van Winkles are more revered, I think. But you couldn't even get Blanton's where I live until a year ago. The Gold Edition was the second version created after the original 93 proof. The 103 proof Blanton's Gold is very limited, but a favorite among discerning bourbon aficionados. Right, it's a stronger percent. I guess most Yankees, they still choose the proof over the percent, eh? The percent is, I guess, more of a Canadian or European thing. I always have to do the math when they do the proof in my head, convert it to a percent. Yeah, you're a Scotch wizard, man. Like, you definitely know your stuff. Oh, Boston is in the house. Oh, Logan, what's up? 1 second. Mr. Hall, how are you?
Hey, Kyle. Hey, I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm good. I'm flying by the seat of my pants here, trying to keep track of two different screens and the chat.
You're very brave for trying to do a stream sort of on your own. I guess one like with no sort of agenda or anything like it. I mean, it's very brave, and I commend you for that.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much for the kind words. I appreciate it. It's Lucha Bedic was the inspiration because I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty much, I don't want to say crapping my pants 2 hours ago, but kind of was like, do I just go on for 5 or 10 minutes to see like how everything works? I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna try and do what Lucha does. If people show up, I'll read through some of the chat. Otherwise, I'll let the music play for a little bit, which is basically the first half an hour of this stream was literally just having music play in the background.
Right.
And then you are a brave soul to jump on here and just talk for a couple minutes. And so, yeah, I have no idea how long this is going to go, what's going to happen, if we'll get more than 4 or 5 viewers. But yeah, I think I should be able to talk to myself at least a little bit and try and keep the ball rolling here, I guess.
I definitely think this is a good sort of practice run. I think maybe for you, because you're so heavily involved with the liquor side of things and scotches and bourbons and whatnot. I think you doing a stream could be complimentary to like a Friday night stream or like a weekend stream. Like let's say that if someone wants to do like a pre-show, almost like sort of like pre-dinner drinks, like I could totally see you sort of filling that like pre-show sort of slot for like the weekends. Let me ask you this. Well, actually, I mean, I might have already asked you this over WhatsApp, but are you into cigars at all?
No, I'm not a smoker.
Okay.
I know a little bit about them, but I don't partake.
Okay.
So okay. I just know what I see others saying on the stream.
I do ask just because they go so well together. Again, like watches, like cars. There's almost like a trifecta or like a quadfecta, if that's even a word. Of sort of hobbies that just go really well together. Yeah. I really wasn't really into cigars until maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. But again, if you want to try it, you can. But again, if you just want to stick to bourbon, that's sort of your thing, then by all means, let's go with that.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, thanks for, I mean, what you're saying about the pre-stream. I don't like have a plan to make this like, oh, I'm gonna do every day at 5 o'clock. Like, that's not what this is gonna be.
No, I mean,
but yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying. Like, if I was thinking, I thought of a couple days ago, like, oh, maybe there's probably like people were traveling, they were going up to Boston, like there might not be a stream today. So I was like, well, today might be a good chance to try it. And I think I went about half hour and I was like, you know what, I'll just throw a thing in the group chat, like just for the fun of it to see what happens.
Right.
It's kind of going to be like Diego's thing. It's just going to be like, if there's nothing going on, I might hop on there, or whenever I want to talk about something, and it's not just going to be whiskeys, like it'll be watch stuff, or it'll be clothing. I know I've been for 5 months now, I've been wanting to do a stream with Sean and George, and they both said yes about comparing.
Like style.
Yeah, well, more so comparing watch brands to clothing brands, like what equates to what.
Oh, okay.
So, and I have a spreadsheet. So Boston Collector, I've had it ready for a couple months. Boston Collector will be definitely happy.
I definitely get sort of all my templates, my sort of spreadsheet templates from Boston. He has like a great 67-part course on that. I'm on session 58 right now, so hopefully I'll get my sort of Boston certificate soon. But no, that sounds like a really good topic actually. Like fashion with watches. The thing that I know nothing about is fashion. Like I mean, it's a miracle that I can put on clothes in the morning. So, but yeah, totally. Get them on the stream. I would love to hop on to. Well, I mean, like maybe not necessarily hop on because, again, I have zero knowledge in that space. But maybe just sort of learn from them and just sort of soak up what they say with a sponge, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been in that industry, or I was in that industry for many years, but like there's definitely stuff that I don't know even after, you know, how long has it been? It's been almost 18 years since I first got into that field. I'm not really in it anymore, but like Sean and George, there's still tons of things that they would know that I don't, and it just almost comes from exposure. Like
Right.
them getting hands-on with certain brands that I never dealt with, or that I don't have around me, or that I've just never even got to experience. So I know sometimes like George will send me stuff about different things, and it's just really interesting to keep learning and to see and talk to other guys that like, you know, fashion and stuff like that. So yeah, like it might be kind of a fun idea.
Very cool. You know, back last year, I'm in Vegas. Me and George actually went shopping for some clothes. Actually, together. We went to the Canali store together.
Oh, fantastic.
George brought a really nice. Well, I mean, it was still sort of cold out, right? Something like it makes sense. I believe he bought like an overcoat or like a jacket type of thing, and I brought like a dress shirt. And so George is a really great guy. I also met Sean. I'm in Vegas too. Sean's a really good guy. We're actually very close, like the same height, which I thought was kind of funny. I mean, I'm a fairly short guy, like I'm 5'8", right? Okay. But it was nice to see someone sort of my size, or sort of just as short as me. So it would have. But you know, going back to Sean though. I mentioned this to him a couple times now. I think it would be awesome if Sean just did a, you know, like a 10-minute video or even 15-minute video on like his basics to fashions, or maybe his story on sort of how he got into fashion, sort of what his philosophy is, sort of what he.
That'd be cool.
You know, I mean, yeah, but again, he's a very busy guy. You know, he's got a whole dealership to run, and you know, very, very important guy, of course. But yeah, I mean, I think that he would help a lot of people look better, even just, you know, walking out of their house, you know, going to a bar. You know, I think Sean could really sort of help out a lot of people with just something as simple as like a 10 or 15-minute video.
No, absolutely, yeah. Like if his idea of like either, yeah, like what you're saying, like different, like a basic outfit, or what, just everything of what you said, how he got into it, that would be really cool. I would definitely be down to watch that.
Very cool.
Hello to the two-tone peasant.
Hey, Evan.
Hey, we're shaking. We having fun yet? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Monday, kind of Sunday for me, but yeah, happy Monday.
Yeah, same. I think I got back yesterday, so I took today off so I could like recuperate and run some errands.
Nice.
Good idea.
Yeah. I'm not a fan of like getting back from travel and immediately going to work the next day.
No. I went to Vegas last year, and then I took off the following Monday to just the same thing, and then I recently went to Napa, with Red and Cars and all them, and I took that Monday off too. I don't like the idea of you getting maybe 2 hours of sleep, total, and then you turn straight around. You have to do real sort of work shit. So
yeah. The nice thing too is I can basically kind of slack off the next couple of days, and just if people like, oh, how's it going? Oh, it's email jail. It's it's working through email. It's fine.
Exactly.
I haven't seen it yet. Emails. So, oh man.
Is it always like when you go back? Is it just like drinking from a fire hose, or is it kind of taken care of by others while you're away?
Usually I've got I have somebody to like kind of cover anything important that might come up. But yeah, it's just going through all the emails that you missed and seeing what's important, what's not important. We get so many automated reports. Like most of it is just kind of like, okay, it's good to know, but you can just dump them, like just delete them immediately. But it's a lot of like filtering the wheat from the chaff,
Gotcha. Cool. So how did you like that bourbon?
Yeah, it was good. We got to try a few things, and it's just interesting. So America's a big bourbon head, and it was kind of like, I was mostly into Scotch, right, for like a long time, and then I kind of expanded into rye over the pandemic. And I didn't drink bourbon for a long time because you throw up enough Jack Daniels, you don't have a taste for it anymore. So. So the last year or so, I've been like trying to get back into it, trying to ignore my college days. So it's been kind of fun. It's been kind of fun getting back into bourbon and trying it again and seeing what I like, what I don't like now, and rebuilding that palate for it. So. Was
the Jack Daniels the bottle of choice around the college?
Well, it was just because that was like fairly easy. Yeah, it was fun. Just kind of going through what little I do know and what little I find.
Have you ever toured the distillery?
Jack Daniels? No.
Yes.
It's the only time I've ever been out to Kentucky was to drive through it. I don't think I've ever actually settled down. It's like some of these distillers, it's on my list of like stuff to do, because being in Denver, right, so we're like I know Oregon and California would disagree, but like we're like microbrew capital, right, of the US, and we're like the Disneyland of beer. So like I've done so many brewery tours, but I haven't really toured a lot of the distilleries, and we actually have a ton of micro distilling going on here now. Like brewing is kind of hit peak saturation, and so if anything, there's consolidation going on in the microbrewery scene. But like distilling is kind of taken off in the last 3 to 5 years. And so going and doing like distillery tours is kind of on my list. When we were at Portland, I got to go tour aviation. That was interesting.
Oh, nice.
That's a tour. It's worth going. It's hilarious. Ryan Reynolds is a funny guy. He wasn't there personally, but like they have this. You get to the end of the tour, and it's just like, oh, you're in Ryan Reynolds' office, and it's like a mini escape room, and they have like a talk. They have like his portrait, which is like a talking painting, like giving you instructions. It's funny as shit. So.
Of course it is.
The Jack Daniels distillery, it's actually in Lynchburg, Tennessee. It's only about like an hour and a half. Yeah. It's only about like an hour and a half to like 2 hours from where I live. I've toured it. It's a really beautiful, site. They do a lot of great, like they have like different tiered tours. Like you can sort of choose your own adventure almost. But it's definitely a really cool thing to do if you're ever in Tennessee. So.
Yeah, it's on my list. I need to. I should probably go towards Stranahan's first, since that's local to me.
Yeah, that'd be a good one, especially if it's close by.
Yeah, I feel like they'd be kind of insulted if I otherwise, but.
So
Yeah.
Denver has more microbrews than say like Portland or Washington, like Seattle or something.
It's going to be similar, very, very similar cultures, right? So Colorado's more west than any of the East Coast or even the Midwest stuff as far as culture.
Okay.
So for the longest time, it was California, Oregon, and Colorado were like microbrew central, and then everyone else kind of caught on after that.
Gotcha. So Diego's asking, is he talking about the Stagg one?
Yeah, except the one that we had was 69% alcohol, 140 proof. So.
Yeah, it must have been a special edition that's not on here, I guess.
Yeah, it was cool. It was real cool. And like I said, just double crown, just like I'm just pouring little light, like, half-ounce tasting pours, and he's just like glug glug glug. You're like, fuck, man. Damn.
So that bottle didn't survive very long.
Yeah, it was just funny. It's just not very graceful pours. Yeah, but yeah, 70% is everyone. You got to kind of water down a little bit. But it's just high proof. If you can work it, is really kind of where the good flavor is. Yeah.
So I asked Boston, what did he grab? I'm guessing he's giving us 3 guesses here. I don't know my bourbons that well, so I'm gonna say Widow Jane's number 10.
I only know of number 2 and number 3. I've never had either. But again, I'm sure that they're all great though.
I should say that in one of my videos one day. I had 10 cents on the pallet. Hot dog? No, burnt hot dog.
Well, Kyle, hey, thanks for shooting this up here. I do have to go.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on.
Evan, good talking with you as well, man.
Yeah, good to show you, Logan.
Nice to see you, Logan. Take it easy.
Thanks,
have a good
guys.
rest of your day.
You too. All right, bye.
Peace. Notes of vanilla with a touch of paper towel.
Yeah, it can be interesting. One of the, especially with like tasting, it's usually good to have somebody who's experienced to kind of guide you through, because what's really fun about especially doing tasting with spirits is like you're like, I'm trying to figure out what that tastes like, and somebody will just like mention, right? They'd be like, oh, like it's probably cherry, and then immediately like click into your head, and you're like, that's what it is. It's so cool. It's such a cool experience, especially when you get something that's kind of like a little bit different of a flavor, like something it wouldn't be like a typical, because like, cherry is like a pretty typical bourbon flavor. So it's always fun when you have somebody real experience. Like I know a thing or two about Scotch. I'm trying to learn more about rye. It's just, there's just so much out there these days. We're kind of spoiled for choice. But the problem is, it's kind of like it's kind of turning into like what wine has, where it's just, there's so many out there that it's hard to find the really good stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
Because like the joke about wine is what do people do? They pick the bottle with the coolest label, right? Because it's going to be a huge time sink. To dig in and research all these local wineries and this, that, and the other thing. And you're probably not going to get a bad bottle unless you're getting the stuff that's just, like whiskey in quotes, where it's, it like technically qualifies, but it's mostly just like essentially vodka that they mix with like a whiskey and then like age for like a flash agent for a little bit in a wooden barrel, and then call it, your bottom shelf like $5 for a fifth type shit.
Yeah. If it's like that cheap stuff, then for sure it's like the very minimum legally required to call it, whatever.
Yeah, that you're gonna have a bad time. It's gonna drink like straight up paint thinner. But once you start getting, and even like Jack Daniels, like we give it shit. Like it's really funny how, stuff like Jack Daniels and Coors and Budweiser and all these just like things that have been around a long time. They're not bad. They're actually usually very, very clean examples. And very textbook examples of the style. It's just that they've been able to clean it up and mass produce it, and so it's not interesting anymore. And so, and especially Coors, because Coors used to be a regional beer, right? And so I'm sure I've heard stories like, I think it was George V was talking about like the first time it made it out east, right? And they were like, this is the new exciting thing. You can go across the border to the next state over and get, you know, it's just a nice textbook lager, right? And Jack Daniels is not bad whiskey. It's just that nice. I jokingly refer to it as, if you ever played Mario Kart, right? Or like Mario Tennis or any of those like Mario games where like Mario and Luigi are not like exceptional characters, right? They're just like literally the well-rounded middle of the pack character that's nothing exceptional but nothing bad. That's like Jack Daniels, right?
Yeah, So go ahead.
No, that was about it.
Yeah, like what you said about the Coors there. Like, yeah, that was the whole premise of Smokey and the Bandit, was that you couldn't get it past a certain distance. I think in my city, like my Midwestern Canadian city, I'm pretty sure they could get Coors back in the day. I think, but I don't, like, it wasn't popular, or at least maybe with some of the guys out in the country it might have been, but I don't really remember it as a kid, like 30 years ago. I don't remember the adults didn't drink Coors. They were, if they usually, like, I know in my family,
you guys would have had Molson, right?
Well, yeah, it kind of depends, like, on like your loyalties, but like when I remember when people would buy American, they usually bought MGD over Budweiser or anything else. That's usually what I would see for American beer, like on campsites, was MGD, the genuine draft, not Miller Lite.
Full Miller. I mean, same thing with Coors. Like, Coors Banquet is way better than Coors Light. Like, everyone jokes that Coors is piss water, but it's because they're drinking the Silver Bullet, right? Drink Banquet, man. It's way better.
to be honest, I'm not a fan of either one. And I usually, like, for whatever reason, Coors is one of those beers where it almost sometimes will give me a headache. And like a lot of the guys in my family prefer Coors, and like I just will not touch it. Like, even if it doesn't give me a headache, it's like, I can come up with, I would rather drink Budweiser than Coors personally.
So I know the States has got a huge microbrewery scene, but like, what's it look like in Canada, right? So you're in Winnipeg, right? I'm in Winnipeg. It kind of depends, I think, on what city you are in, but it is fairly huge. Like, Winnipeg does have a lot of really good microbreweries. And also Winnipeg, it has a pretty big history with alcohol in general, but with beer, like, it had one of the big Labatt factories here, I think up until the early 80s. And then in, I think, the late 90s, it became one of the homes of one of the biggest, I guess, independent breweries. It was called Fort Garry Brewing. It was like the first big microbrew, at least that I know of, in the region, maybe one of the bigger ones in the country. So that kind of started it off. And they were kind of on their own until like 10, 12 years ago, when the whole microbrew started getting big. But now there's a ton here. But like, even in Vancouver, it's even bigger. Like, I did live in Vancouver for a bit in 2019. And Coquitlam has, I think they call it like Brewers Row or something. It's right there on like the river, the Fraser River, where, like, just picture like in the old days, like lumberjacks, like shooting logs down the river. So that's where all these breweries set up. And it's pretty wild. It's a pretty cool scene out there. I've never been to Portland. I've been to Seattle, but I imagine Portland's kind of being like Vancouver with that whole brew scene and the hipsters. Yeah, like, there's definitely like areas like what was the street? There was like a whole street where it was just like like neat restaurants, kind of artsy, a little older, and then but like breweries, like probably like every couple of blocks you find a brewery. It's been interesting watching the industry mature, just because going back to, Colorado had a similar in like where our early microbrews was Oscar Blues, right? I'm sure you've heard of Dale's Pale Ale, Old Chub. I think so. Yeah. Old Chub. Yeah. So they were one of the big early like microbrews in the 80s, right? Kind of like Sam Adams. Okay. And so and then a few here and there. But yeah, it was like 10, 15 years ago. It just kind of exploded, right? And all of a sudden, there was just like, you could throw a rock in any direction, hit a brewery, and then now they've kind of hit peak saturation, and also people aren't drinking as much. I think I'm sure a lot of us kind of overindulged over the pandemic, and then are kind of coming back down. Mm-hmm. But as alcohol sales have kind of like dipped post-pandemic, there's been a lot of consolidation. Okay. So as well as canning has gotten expensive, and so they're trying to, because we have ball canning here. Mark, we're talking beer, Mark.
Lucha better time.
Actually, I don't know what you think about beer. I know I'm like beer hipster because I live in microbrew USA. Mm-hmm. So it's always kind of funny, like folks that like especially folks out east. I don't think there's as much of a brewery culture out east. Like they do exist, but
I don't think it's as big of a deal. I don't think.
So yeah, people they're like talking about, oh yeah, this place is like all these different IPAs and and don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong if you just want like a Pilsner Urquell or like a what's that Italian Pilsner that's really good?
Peroni?
Peroni, yeah. If you just want a Peroni or Heineken or whatever, fine. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with those. Again, they're just clean examples, but sometimes you gotta expand your horizons. Like one of my favorite breweries in town had a Rogan beer, which is like a rye ale, but it's like 60% rye as part of the
okay.
Was it the mash?
Yeah, the mash.
It's super good. It's just rich and it's nice and flavorful. And man, I don't think I could. Like, yeah, obviously you'd have to pick up. I think they do crowlers these days. But yeah, it's 1861. Interesting.
I love rich, heavy beers. Like I love porters, I love stouts. I know a lot of people are like, oh man, it's a good dessert. I'm like, excellent, bring it on. Like it doesn't put me to sleep.
Some of them can be kind of bitter, like
I hate IPAs. I cannot stand IPAs. I know everybody loves them, but I don't like them.
Man, it just kind of depends. It's one of those things where you try it, and then like little by little. So like if people want to do IPAs, I recommend starting with a hazy IPA. It's very fruity, very citrus, not as bitter. Those are it's also known as East New England IPAs. Then from there, West Coast IPAs, you kind of get the more piney kind, but there's other stuff. Like I'm not a fan of Imperials because they get too sweet. They're just kind of gross. But yeah, I would start with that. Try a hazy IPA or New England IPA next time you're out, and just kind of maybe just get it like a 5-ounce pour or something. You don't have to like sit there and choke down a pint.
Yeah, I think I've had a few. I don't remember what brand, but I think I've had a few New England IPAs. IPAs in Vancouver, it's like a religion out there. It's like the only beer people drink because they all think they're too cool for school.
Well, see, the reason why that really took off, especially in the microbrew scene, is because IPAs are really easy to do. Like lagers are surprisingly hard.
Oh, interesting! I didn't know that.
Yeah, so and a lot of it's just because like the hops will like cover up a lot of sins, right? So that's why. So that's why a lot of these breweries, when they start up, like they start with IPAs. They're just super easy. But it takes a lot more know-how and a lot more just skill to do some of these like these other styles, like your stouts, porters, lagers. That's why like Czech and German beers, they tend to be. I love Czech beer. I love Czech pilsners. I do not like German pilsners for some reason. Every German pilsner I've ever had, it's like the only pilsner I don't like. I've had French, I've had Italian, Czech, German.
Oh, interesting.
And I don't like German pilsners. But like they'll be like the quote unquote boring like examples of beer, but they're also usually some of the more require the most like technical proficiency in making them.
Yeah. This picture couldn't get any more Pittsburgh. I love it. The train, the smokestack, the factory. Sweet. So you said pilsners were hard, or lagers the same? Are they both really difficult? to make?
Lagers are mostly it's just you have to have like really tight temperature. My understanding. So like I know enough to be dangerous, but not what I'm doing. I know people who work in brewing, and so a lot of mine is just like asking questions and learning about it from them. And my understanding is doing lagers, you have to keep it's very temperature constrained. Otherwise, you fuck it up. So that's why like places like Coors and Budweiser doing it at scale is actually very impressive. Even if like it's kind of quote unquote boring beer. So
I know there's in Abbotsford, I think it's Abbotsford, which is just east of Vancouver. There's a giant Molson Coors factory that they just built within the last 5 or 10 years or something. It's a mammoth place. Like ever since I guess Molson Coors merged, now they've kind of like are consolidating. I guess they have a factory probably in Colorado. There's probably that one in BC, and then there's probably one in Quebec.
Yeah.
Let me think here. Oh yeah, actually, where is that comment? This here. This made me think. This combined with you were talking about how in college,
Red Label.
how you said in college, JD was the whiskey. So like here in most well actually I think it's for sure half of the provinces your drinking age is 18 and the rest are 19.
Yeah. So
I turned 8 in my province is 18. I turned 18 a little bit before school ended. But like I wasn't someone who like I didn't do underage drinking, and I didn't like even when I turned 18, I didn't like just go out to the bar and like go wild. But like some of my classmates were big into underage drinking, and there was this one girl I remember. We sat beside each other in a couple classes, and there was a bunch of us that were all hanging out. And she was saying that she can't, because I was saying that like for my 18th, I got a gift of a bottle of Jack Daniels, because I really like Jack Daniels. The few times like my family or whatever would give me something to try, I really liked it. And to this day, I do really like just the regular JD. And she was like, oh, I cannot drink that anymore. Like way too many bad experiences. And I remember looking over her. I'm like, you're not even 18 yet. Like, how hard have you been going on the JD, girl? Like, just chill. So we all had a good laugh at that. And I think I saw her a couple years later, and I think we were talking about that. And it was like to that day, like for all the time, like she just couldn't even look at Jack Daniels anymore. I was like, man, you must have had some bad experiences with that stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. You know, we all made mistakes. We were all young and dumb. You know, it's fine. But yeah, so then it's been fun kind of getting back into bourbon and really trying to see what's out there and just really explore whiskey outside of Scotch.
Red Label, when like I'll come to this Lucha comment in a moment. When Otto was talking about Red Label, like, ooh, you're not doing yourself any favors there. like spend just a couple more dollars and buy something that won't destroy your insides. I remember when a friend of mine who got married, he was around, I think he was about 20. And this was right before I started getting into scotches. So I was like, well, like people before the wedding, they usually have a round of scotches. So I was like, what can I go get? So I ashamedly, this is the only time to this date where I bought Red Label. I bought like a 200 mil of Red Label or something. And I remember we had it. I was like, man, what's all the hullabaloo about this stuff? Is garbage.
Oh yeah, it's tastes like burning.
Oh yeah.
It's meant to mix. I'm not the biggest Johnny Walker fan. It's gold label's good, platinum label's good. I don't really give a shit about black label. If I'm gonna do a mixer, I'm doing Dewar's, right? If like doing Dewar's and soda, or if I'm just doing like, actually Monkey Shoulder's my preferred mixer if I'm gonna mix a blended Scotch.
Monkey Shoulder's a pretty good one for an economical bottle.
Just like basic stuff, like a Scotch and soda or Scotch and Red Bull. That's what I'll do is Dewar's or Monkey Shoulder. I don't even mix Red Label. It's just Gross.
I just won't even buy Red Label. Like,
yeah, and like something, I don't know. If you like Johnny Walker, really, not the, all 5 people out in the audience, if any one of these people are just like diehard Johnny Walker fans, it's similar. It's just like what Johnny Walker does is they go out to all of the distillers and they basically make their own custom blends. That's what they do. And so, I forgot what it was, but like Green Label, which I don't think they make anymore, but that was like the really popular one because that was like a mixture of like Lagavulin and a bunch of other kind of more peaty, but like really popular scotches. And so, but that's basically what they do is they go to the other distillers and kind of make their own custom blends, which is, to be fair, is a science in its own right. I don't know. There's if you've ever seen Whiskey Tribe, they did an episode talking about making your own blends and kind of adjusting things. And basically it's very easy to go too far and add too much of something, and then it's kind of fucked. So you basically have to be very careful, and it's like add a little bit at a time if you think it's missing something or trying to round it out. Yeah. Otherwise, it kind of goes flat, is what they say. So the fact that they're able to do these blends at scale.
Yeah, I know Link for Rosé because I think he was drinking Johnny Walker a couple times on the stream.
Yeah.
My thing with Johnny Walker, I don't even know how to. Okay. Johnny Walker is all marketing. I think the hullabaloo behind the Blue Label is like, if you're going to spend that much on a whiskey, you can spend less and get a way better whiskey. And I've said this in numerous times on Tim's stream. I've said it on Sheen's stream. Whenever they're having Blue Label, I'm like, you're basically throwing your money down the drain because the platinum, which then turned into the gold 18, is like a better whiskey.
It's like half the price.
It's half the price, and it's a better whiskey. And I've done blind tastings with friends. Every single one of them has always chosen the platinum or the 18 over the blue. No one picks the blue when they don't know what it is. It's a marketing.
You pick the blue because it's expensive, right? Like
exactly.
That's, and that's where there's a lot of folks that when they drink Scotch, they drink. That's why they go for like the really expensive shit. Like peak for Scotch is 15 to 18 years. Past that, you're just paying for the age, even though it's anything worse. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and by worse, I mean, it just gets mellow. Basically, you just get oak. That's all you get. You lose all the rest of the character in the whiskey. And with rare exception of stuff like, it would start into like the early 20s, like the 21 to 25 year stuff, if it's got like an interesting aging. So like, okay, like Balvenie has a 21 year Portwood, right? That's really good.
It's one of my favorites.
It's a lot like
ever.
Their sherry cask ones, but just a bit more richness, a bit more fruit, and a bit more mellow. Mm-hmm. But like I would still say that their 17-year sherry, in my opinion, I think is a more interesting whiskey. It's batch dependent because Balvenie sometimes has some just seriously bummer batches.
Are you talking about the 17 Doublewood?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have both of those actually like 10 feet from me right now. They're both exceptional.
Oh, fantastic, right? I think the 17 is a more interesting whiskey than the 21. 21's really good. But also, man, 21's gotten fucking expensive. When so I bought a bottle of that, I want to say like 10, 15 years ago. You could get it for $150 a bottle back then. Now it's $400. Not worth it. I'm sorry.
I've had 2 bottles of the Portwood. The first one I bought, I want to say in 2016, 2017, something like that. And I think I paid 300 Canadian for it at the time.
Oof, that is a gut punch.
So that was because like whiskeys, especially scotches, are also always way more expensive in Canada than in the States. Yeah. Just because of the market size and importing and all that crap. But so I'm pretty sure it was around then. And then 2 years ago, the original Portwood had already been gone for probably since the beginning of the pandemic or something. It lasted a decent amount of time for who I am. But so then I had family again coming in from Alberta, and they had the Portwood out there for, I think it was like $130 less than what they sell it for here in Manitoba.
I believe it.
So here in Manitoba it was like 500 something, and I think I got it for around 4-ish, and like really expensive, but like this is one of, like I haven't even opened it. It's been sitting for 2 years. It's still sealed. I've opened the 17 Doublewood, which that bottle, I bought a few of those over the years. I think I bought one in Chicago once. I bought one here. I think I bought one in Alberta in 2016. I had that bottle corked for 5 or 6 years, and I opened it for a special family get together. But yeah, like I love the Balvenie stuff, the Portwood. I prefer the Portwood, but I do know what you're saying, how the Doublewood is more complex for sure.
Yeah.
My whole thing with Johnny Walker, so like this is 18, which again used to be the Platinum, and before that there was Gold Label 18, just not reserved, like this didn't exist.
Yeah.
The green, it seems to come and go. It's like it's not the same as it was 10 years ago, but it's still pretty good.
The one 10 years ago was like everyone's favorite. It was probably the standout in the lineup.
My cousin. Oh, okay. So every once in a while here in Manitoba, like it's government liquor, so we call it Manitoba Liquor Marts, or we go by the old name, the Liquor Commission, or the LC. So every once in a while, hasn't happened in the last number of years because Scotch is so popular now, but like pre-pandemic, every once in a while you could find like a hidden gem that was like lost in like northern Manitoba, that like no one up there in like these rural mining towns either knows what it is or wants it because it's too expensive. So then you would either get shipped down here. So years after the original Gold Label was like gone, my cousin found one at the store and he picked it up, and it's still to this day sitting sealed in his. He has now moved to Ontario, but it's like he's still got. He knows that that's one of those bottles that I really liked, and he like scooped it. I like to think that maybe he'll give it to me one day as a gift. But I love the Double Black. I find that's like a great campfire, like sharing with friends, like whiskey. It's getting really expensive though. Like that's almost 90 Canadian now, which is ridiculous. It used to be 50.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I know regular black used to be like because Red Label was like $16, right? It was like bathtub swill, right?
Yeah.
Black Label was like your next step up. That was usually about like 25. Double Black was, I thought, closer to like 35, 40, and then and then, obviously the things kept going up from there. But,
yeah, because I like the Double Black. I think the first time I bought it 5-6 years ago, it was 50-60 Canadian. So take I don't know, $10 off that at the time for being US. But the first time I ever had the actual Black Label, I remember I was in New York in 2010. And I was out, like I went on that trip with my cousin. He wasn't 21 yet, and so he couldn't go out. So I was like, I'm gonna go out for a couple drinks. Like we're staying 2 blocks from Empire State Building, so I found this. I think it was actually called the Red Sky Bar, which it doesn't exist anymore. But I went there, and I didn't have cash on me, so I needed to do a tab. And she's like, "You're gonna have to you have to spend a certain amount." I was like, "Don't worry about that." It's like first thing I'll do a double, and of course, like this was how long ago, but so I was thinking like I'm a shooter, I'll have a Double Black Label because it was like $20 an ounce or something in Manhattan. So
good
Basil
memories. Hayden's Dark Rye. I'll have to look it up. I've heard good things about Basil Hayden, and I'm a big rye head, so I might just have to buy a bottle and find out.
I've only tried them in the liquor stores. Like to me, they were okay, but they weren't. I didn't like them enough to buy it.
Yeah, I have to take a look. Looks like it's won some awards. The thing with rye is it's you have to like rye. It's not quite as bad as rum, but it's still kind of like an up and comer. Because for like the longest time, so like a little bit of the history was rye used to be like the most popular whiskey in the US until Prohibition, and then after Prohibition it was bourbon. It kind of, rye kind of died. So for the longest time, any ryes you got were just an MGP rye. So like your bullets and your like tin cups and stuff like that were just like bare bones, just MGP rye that they slapped their own label on. And so there's only one distillery making it, but it's been having a renaissance over the last, like, I would say 5 to 10 years. And so it's just trying to, and what's kind of fun is there's just so much good, like, rye here. Just even Colorado, we've got like a few like really good distilleries. Like I brought America a bottle of Laws, and their rye, like they like the actual like grains that they use come from like one farm in one part of the state, right? So it doesn't taste like any other ryes I've had. It's just a straight rye, right? It tastes like nothing I've ever had before. So not like your Whistle Pigs, your Sazeracs, your Rittenhouse, your Sagamore Spirit, like none of those. It doesn't taste like any of that. It's so rich on the mouth, like on the palate, and it's so different. It's one where like I don't even know if I would make a cocktail with Laws. I would just that's a good neat drinking rye.
Okay.
So if you ever get a chance,
Laws, I'll have to write that down.
Yeah, I don't know how far they distribute. I know like Total Wine, like I can get it at my Total Wine, so I'm assuming at least if you're in the States, you can probably order it. But,
okay.
They also just won. They also just won for their 4-grain cask strength bourbon, best bourbon outside of Kentucky. So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Total Wine. Whenever I go down to Minnesota, I try and go there to a couple of them. What do we got here? Raise a glass to something special.
Yeah, the thing about rye is it's definitely a it's an acquired taste. Even more, it's probably the most acquired taste out of any of the whiskeys. 'Cause I feel like Irish whiskey is very kind of blasé. Like it's good, but it's for the most part Irish whiskey is Irish whiskey. Is like triple distilled, very smooth. They all kind of taste that with like vanilla shortbread cookie kind of flavor profile. And then you get some, with your green spots, your red breasts, and then like here we've got a distillery that specializes in Irish style whiskey. You can't call it Irish whiskey, it's not from Ireland. But like if you get like a copper pot still, it's got like a richer, oilier mouthfeel to it that kind of adds to that like vanilla shortbread flavor, right? Cool.
Love copper pots.
Yeah, so good. But it's not interesting to me, right? They all kind of, like, even good Irish whiskey just all kind of taste the same to me. And I'm sure somebody will say it's blasphemy, but like,
no, you're kind of right.
More interesting stuff in bourbon. That's probably next in line as far as beginner friendly, like to get into whiskey, because there is a huge breadth and depth. It tends to be sweeter, so people like it's easier for folks to get into. As far as like hard spirits. I would say Scotch is next, as long as you stick to like oaky and sherried Scotches. I would not start somebody on peat. But rye is the kind of like with peat, where like it's an acquired taste, because that really like vegetal spice is just, for some people they either don't like it, or it's just they're expecting like sweeter whiskeys, right? So it's.
Yeah, the peated stuff for Scotch is like the stuff from the Isla region. That is definitely not a beginner way to go.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Although it's fun to try it. Like, so I brought a bottle of Lefroy 10 to an Irish Catholic funeral, and it was really interesting to see who liked it and who didn't. It was like a coin toss, 50-50 coin flip. Some people really liked it and asked for more. Some people were like, this tastes like I'm eating campfire ash. And I'm like, yep. So.
Yeah, you gotta put the training wheel, or keep the training wheels on before you try something like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the tasting notes on this look really good. It's just, I don't know, Mark, have you had a lot of exposure to like rye and other whiskeys? Because I'd be curious what your...
So you're asking me?
I was asking Mark, because he was he was saying that one of his friends recommended that. He was asking if he's got a lot of exposure to rye specifically, because if you're a big bourbon guy, it's very different.
Yeah, like I don't mind, like, it's gotta sound whatever, but like Bullet bourbon, like it's not my first choice, but like I'll have it. But the Bullet rye, I do not like the Bullet rye.
Yeah, that's just your standard MGP. If you're normally a bourbon Scotch guy, it's like this one sounds like, as far as a rye, pretty good. The thing I'll be curious is that you would say like oak with that back notes of spice and around it. That's where that might be real interesting to see what you think of that, because again, that's usually what either turns people on or off. Is the kind of more just. I'll say Hilly would describe as vegetal, right? It's more like planty and floral, but like in like not like a smell, like a sweet smell, more like you're eating the flower, right?
Yep. I would think. I bet you this one would be really good. This red wine cask.
Yeah, is that? Well, that's probably just a bourbon.
Yeah, sorry, I'm still in the Basil Hayden's.
Yeah,
but I've never seen this before. I bet you this is fantastic.
Is that a bourbon? Is that a rye?
This should be a bourbon, as far as.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say.
You don't see a lot of wine finish, or like, I guess this probably would be similar to like if Mark likes. He says he's a Scotch guy. If he likes port pipe scotches or sherry, but especially port, I bet you he'd like this. Oh, if I could buy this, I'd buy it right now.
See, that'd be really interesting just because I feel like bourbon doesn't need the help with like the
fruit.
Also, it'd be nice to know what red wine, if it's just like generic like California red blend kind of wine. It's already, if bourbon's already kind of like cherry fruitiness, right?
That's true,
so,
actually.
Like, would this be too much? A high rye mash bill bourbon, okay. So that might, okay, so because it's a high rye in the mash bill, that might kind of tone down the sweetness a bit, which might actually make this really good. Chardonnay, yeah, this would be interesting.
Oh, this looks really good. Gonna need a cold shower after this.
Yeah.
Save this, come back for this later.
I'd be curious what you'd think. If you do end up finding any of this, let me know.
I won't have this where I live. I'd have to try and... Oh, man, I already put my order in from Alberta, too. It's too late. I don't think they would have this in Alberta either. I bet you this might be... Actually, you know what? I guess let's see...
Well, another one, like, as you're looking stuff up, another one, we got like a local distillery here called 291, and similar, I brought America a bottle of this. It's a rye but aged with aspen wood staves.
Okay.
So you can taste the aspen wood. It's really cool, and it's very different.
Oh, sorry. I'll look that up in 1 sec.
Yeah.
I want to try and...
Actually, I should see if he's gotten a chance to crack open any of those bottles. Mostly, I'm just really curious what he thinks of it, because I know he said he wasn't a big rye person, but I really want to see what he thinks of those two.
Okay, well, this looks like Tequila Butcher. I wonder if they're purposely not listing Total Wine on here. They have all these small independents.
Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Let's open Total Wine. Total Wine for all your Total Wine needs. Let's see. Basil Hayden. Yeah, they show the carry it. Interesting.
Interesting. What was that Denver one you were mentioning?
So there's Laws and there's 291. If you look up 291 Aspenwood Rye.
I know America mentioned on a stream a while back Weller Bourbon. I have it written down here. I was going to look into it.
Yeah, Weller's another like Buffalo Trace distillery. Yeah, so... It's the Aspenwood that really just... It's so different. You can really I don't know if you guys have aspen trees up there. I don't know.
They're not called aspen. I don't know if aspen is like if that's a term specific or if it's just a term for the region. Like we have spruce and pine trees up here. I don't know if aspen is the same.
Yeah, aspen's a deciduous tree. So aspen's a type of tree. Like it's.
Then probably not.
Interesting. So like, how to describe it? So
actually, no, we
like
wouldn't have it up here.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, it's. Man, if you haven't been around aspen trees, it's hard to describe because like you can, if you've been around it, like if you've been around aspen trees and gotten to like smell them and like kind of be in the area,
kind of like cedar trees.
No, they're not a pine.
Okay.
They're not an evergreen.
Then okay, hold on.
Yeah, look up aspen trees.
Oh, those look like poplar trees.
The thing with aspen trees that's really interesting is, so all of those pictures you see are actually technically one organism.
Okay. Because we have poplars everywhere, but I guess we don't have aspens, I guess.
Interesting. Yeah, it was because with the aspen tree. So like, I'm pretty sure aspen's like named for the aspen tree that is an aspen is one of the world's largest organisms, because what aspens do is I'm not sure if it's considered suckering, but they like they have a shared root system. So like it would be this entire aspen forest, and it's actually technically one organism.
Oh, okay, interesting. I haven't heard that with the poplar trees up here. I mean, I should not. My dad's an arborist, so I've never heard him ever talk about aspen trees being up here. So maybe we don't have that species.
Yeah, but anyway, if you ever get a chance to hang out in some of our forests, because what will typically happen in our evergreen forests is the aspen trees will grow first because they like sun, and they provide shade for the evergreens to grow. And then what happens over time, the evergreens will grow like on top of and over the aspen trees and kind of cover them up and shade them.
Okay.
And then they'll stop growing as much.
Boy, tree talk. That might be more poisonous than pen talk.
Yeah, we're. I mean, you know, I think viewership is stabilized at 5 viewers, so I think we're. So. You
know, I'm not paying for StreamYard. Like, this is the free version, and it was like on some things it says, yeah, you'll have like a recorded version, and other ones say, no, we aren't recording it. So I have no idea what happens when I press end stream. If there's a recorded version that gets posted, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah. Just raw dogging it for the night, you know?
Oh, yeah. Aspen State. This sounds good. I like the color. Very nice color.
Yeah, and like I said, you can taste the wood, right, with the aspen in there. So it's very unique. I'll say that, but in a good way. It's not like you know, it's not like modern art where you're like, yeah, this is different, but it's just stupid. It's not like that. This is really good, really good.
It sounds good. For delivery, okay. Oops. 2018 World's Best Rye Whiskey. Okay, this is getting bookmarked.
Yeah, and they're small batch too. Like I don't know how far they distribute. I know at least liquor stores near me, but I'm like, 30-minute, 45-minute drive from the distillery, so.
Perfect, Mark. I was wondering if it would automatically like save to YouTube on its own. I kind of was thinking it would. But then like in the StreamYard thing, it says you have 10 free hours of savable. So I was like, well, why does it say that if it then in the next paragraph says nothing saves to StreamYard? I'm like, well, whatever. Not that it matters.
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows. Flying by the seat of my pants here. Yeah, this has got a lot of awards.
Oh, and like I said, it's just hard. Like, there's so many distilleries out there. Like, I don't know how anyone can keep up with all of it.
Oh yeah, in the last 10 to 20 years, it's just it's like a gold rush,
basically. So, it's cool. I'm curious to see how long it lasts before we also start seeing consolidation. Because what's been interesting, going back to the brewery scene for a little while, what's been interesting is, some of them have moved to contract brewing, where a lot of the kind of larger of the microbrews like started really ramping up their production capability. But what they're doing now is, because they're not selling as much beers, they're contracting out their brewing equipment to other breweries to brew for them, basically.
Oh, okay.
So in that
That
way
makes
it
sense.
enables, like, so then those other breweries can like still have control of their recipes, but then they don't have to have as much infrastructure in place.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
Okay. Now, I might as well look. Let's look up Weller.
It's Buffalo Trace. The Wellers, it's really good. We got to try a couple Wellers also. It's really good. It's just, we were talking to America was telling us how it's just you buy it at a premium these days because everyone's just scooping it up.
Oh, really? Even this stuff, eh?
Mm-hmm.
Where did you guys go? Did you go to like a cigar lounge? Did you go to a steakhouse? How did you all meet up and do a whiskey tasting of all these different bottles?
If
you're at liberty to discuss this.
Yeah, I reserved, like, my hotel room had like meeting rooms, and so I reserved one.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's actually a really good idea.
Mm.
107 proof, complex taste, bold finish. I like it.
Oh yeah, and their stuff's weeded, so I like a good weeded bourbon. So my yardstick for good bourbon that's actually not too expensive is Balcones Texas Bourbon.
Okay.
It's a weeded bourbon, and you can get it for like here for like on sale sometimes for like $25 a bottle, but the average price is about $30. And it's like pot still bourbon, and it's just really fucking good. I've tried a few, going back to like now that I'm trying to get back into bourbon. I've tried a few. Four Roses is good. It's really sweet. I tried Larceny. I was kind of meh. Angel's Envy is fine. I want to try Jefferson's Ocean, but I've heard it's just kind of it's good, but it's overpriced for what it is.
Angel's Envy is pretty, like, would that be considered just above entry level for bourbon? Like they're pretty normal, core range sort of thing.
Okay.
Would you say that? Like, is that how what you would think?
It's a price point.
I've had them only a few times. Like, they seem like they're nice, but they don't seem like they're like too crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It looks like it's a like $40 to $50 price point. So yeah, your typical like above Jack Daniels, but nothing like super special.
Tasting notes. That's a 12. Man, to be Jim Murray, eh? Like, to be that guy and have that job, what a life.
Yeah.
Just fly around, sampling whiskeys, getting paid, writing a book.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I always see some of these folks, and I kind of wonder, like, how long are they able to do those jobs before they just start hating the thing, right?
Because they're having stuff too often?
Or just like it's like how sorry, I'm just typing with folks on the side.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry, brain fart. What was the question again?
Like where would you find? How would you find Angel's Envy? Like a little bit better than a.
I mean, it's good. It's just I've kind of put that in the camp of it's not the most interesting thing.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, we were talking about Jim Murray. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, it's kind of like how like car mechanics, right? Where if you ever seen a car mechanic's car, they'll keep it running, but like they look beat to fuck because they're not going to put in the time, effort, and energy to like really keep it like pristine and whatever, because they're so tired of doing that for their job. But at the end of the day, like, and a lot of the people that got into being like a mechanic, like they were people that were like big motorheads, right? Big gearheads that just really loved cars, and then they do it for work, and then they just kind of like hate it after a while.
That's true. That's true. Yeah. All right. Now, have you ever had any of these? The Old Rip or the Van Winkles or the Pappies?
No. The only thing I see Sazerac Rye. I didn't know that was a Buffalo Trace. That's my obviously Sazerac, makes a good Sazerac. And so I've had that, but I haven't had a lot of the. I haven't had a lot of the bourbons. Just kind of like I'm still working my way through bourbons, and honestly, most of their stuff is hard to get. So it's like unless you know somebody who has it, or you're gonna pay a premium at like a whiskey bar or like a pour, you don't get an opportunity to try some of this stuff. You're almost better off doing like micro distillers to try to find something interesting.
Yeah, that's I'd say probably one of the coolest. I mean, it is a micro distiller here in Winnipeg, but it's the only one that really does spirits. It's called Patent 5, and the whole idea with the name is they named it after the 5th Canadian patent, like 130 or 40 years ago or whatever. It was patented for whiskey still. Yeah, and
Sorry. While we have this up, it's that mint, eucalyptus, and pepper that are like very like rye flavors, and that's something that'll distinguish it from like bourbons and other things where it's not as sweet. It's kind of like those are like what I would expect from a rye. That kind of like pepper.
Yep.
And yeah, that kind of like eucalyptus, minty kind of, those kind of notes are something you wouldn't find in a bourbon.
Yeah, no, for sure. For me, that's kind of like some Canadian ryes almost have too much vanilla and eucalyptus for me. Like it's almost kind of like it's that typical Canadian taste that too many cheap, or I don't want to say cheap, but like cheaper Canadian whiskeys have that like I'm just sick of.
Well, it's because we were talking about it actually. It's because there's what is it? There's no regulations on like additives you can put in or something like that, or like fewer regulations for additives. So like they add like they back sweeten it and they do a bunch of stuff like that for Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, like there's so many Canadian whiskeys and Canadian ryes that I can taste. I'm like, yeah, this is just like your typical Canadian flavor profile.
Yeah.
Boring.
So that's why you got to start your own distillery and then just make your whiskeys American style. It'd probably be a huge hit.
Probably would. Actually, well, look with this Patent 5 thing. So I think for it to be called Canadian whiskey, you have to age the whiskey for at least 3 years.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
Yeah, in the barrels. For how young, so they've done a couple releases of rum. Also, and they've done, is it 3 versions of whiskey, and the 4th one is coming out? I think that's what it is. I think they released 3. For the youngness of the whiskeys and the rums, it's unbelievable how good they are. Yeah. Like I don't know how they're doing it, and they don't do anything artificial colors or flavors, but it also probably has to do with where they store the bottles and like the climate. Like the wood is breathing a lot, and so they're getting a lot of flavor out of that wood. But like the rum, I sent them a message a couple months ago, and they're going to be having another rum come out soon because down the street from their shop, there's where the Manitoba Museum is, and that's where there's a life-size replica of a HBC sailing ship. It's called the Nonsuch, and they built it in the 1970s on the 300th anniversary of HBC. They built it in England. They sailed it across the ocean. Then they went through the Great Lakes through a tour, and then they went. Oh,
that's fun.
Yeah, then they went over to Seattle, up the West Coast, and they brought it back to Winnipeg because this is where HBC was based for a long time. But anyway, this rum was so good. Like honestly, it tasted as good as some of the best 15-year-old rums I've ever had. And I said like, hey, like we should do like a photo shoot for you. Like I said, I just wanted to even do it for free. And like let me contact the museum and see if we can use the ship as like the background, because they've got the whole thing that the ship is surrounded in is like an English port in 1670. So it's got like all like the buildings in the background, and with the barrels, it'd be a really cool backdrop for because I think their rum is so good for how cheap it is and for how young it is, and same goes with their whiskey. There's such like a high quality micro brew type thing that it's absolutely, I think it's incredible of how good it is for the price and for the age. Yeah,
it was really interesting. So rum is one of those ones where it's crazy. I was watching an episode of whiskey tribe, and they brought in somebody to talk rum. And what's interesting about it is there's basically like zero regulations around rum. So like there's no like standards body that makes requirements of it has to have this, that, or the other thing. And so that's why you can have such huge variety, but also that you can get a lot of fucking garbage. And so stuff like and so the point that like what was really interesting is they were talking about how, you know, you can get like those cheap like Malibu rums or whatever where there'll be like banana and coconut flavor and stuff like that. Yeah. Apparently for good rum, that is just a natural flavor you should get. And it shouldn't be artificially flavored, which is really interesting.
It is, yeah. That's really cool. Like with the sugar cane or whatever, how it releases that. Yeah, this is a pretty cool little bar. And actually, there was their little tasting room, all this oak on the wall. This was all recovered from an old hotel on the other side of downtown Winnipeg that was getting demolished. So it was what the hell was the hotel called? I think it was the St. Regis Hotel, and so all of that oak paneling is like 110 years old, and they took it down, and then they demolished the hotel, and then they rebuilt this in this old warehouse that's in the Exchange District, and it's a really cool area, and they've gotten into a whole bunch of different stuff here. They've won awards for some of their vodkas and their gins. They've gotten really legit really fast.
Yep. Yeah, gin's another one that's just like kind of having like a moment where a lot of gin distillers are cropped up. Just super interesting to see like the various expressions. That's one where you can do a lot with it and really, really kind of make it your own, whether that's a good thing or not. Because it's all about the botanical mixture, right? The blend. Interesting. Distillery. I wonder if they distribute.
So American Distilling Institution 2020, best in class, gold medal, best category. And their barrel aged gin, they've done I think I want to say probably at least 5 different variations of barrel-aged gins. They've all been absolutely incredible. And I did a video on the distiller in Banff, and they had their barrel-aged gin, and the stuff was garbage. Like it was just junk. Like compared to this, like in the video I talk about how you can see the color versus the other ones, and it's just really interesting. These guys are punching so far above their weight.
No, that's super cool to see. Got a couple. This one, I think it's is it Peach Street Distillers that does like they do some pretty tasty gin. They're in Palisade.
Okay.
Which is out on the west side of the state. They've got like you said, like barrel-aged gins and stuff, which is really, really good for certain cocktails. I don't know. It's always interesting seeing what cocktails work well with the more botanical gins versus like a London Dry.
Yeah. What do you prefer? Do you prefer a very botanically or not for a gin? Or are you not a gin guy at all?
I prefer London Dry.
Same.
Botanical. There's certain cocktails it works really well with to having a more floral botanical gin. But like for like the standard stuff that I'm drinking, I really like that pine flavor that you get just from like a London Dry. You know, the real heavy juniper. That's my preference. So your gin and tonics, there's a cocktail that I really like. It's called the Ampersand. It's one of those, like half of all cocktails came out of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel in New York, right?
Yeah.
And so like it was one of those cocktails they found in one of their old cocktail books and kind of like came back alive, and it's really good. The only way to describe it is if you just thought of the most generic cocktail, it would be the ampersand, where it's just like it just tastes like cocktail. It's the only way to describe it. It just is like the embodiment of cocktail.
Yeah.
I can find it. It's really good. I believe it is a. Let me find the recipe real quick. Ampersand cocktail. It's an let's see. Yeah, it's an Old Tom gin, cognac, vermouth, orange liqueurs, orange bitters. Let's see. Sorry, let me find it better. Yeah, it's cognac, Old Tom gin, sweet vermouth, and orange bitters.
Okay. That sounds not too bad.
It's really good, and like I said, it's just like the only way to describe it is it tastes like cocktail.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to describe it.
Just as basic as it gets.
And it, yeah, just the most distilled form of cocktail.
That's pretty cool.
So yeah, let's give it a shot. There's not a lot of Old Tom gins. I've heard that you can try like there's only like I think there's only like a couple companies that can make an Old Tom. Like a substitute is adding some sugar into your gin. Or into the cocktail when you mix it up, and just make sure it's actually, or like simple syrup, you know.
Yeah.
Add a little sweetness to cut, but yeah.
That sounds cool. This is a little ship and little.
Oh, that's fun.
Thing I was talking about. That's like across and down the street from the distillery.
Yeah.
So I just went in there. I actually kind of went in there like pirate style, for no pun intended, but like I had one of their little mini bottles in my pocket, and I just bought a ticket and went in with my cell phone. Cause like I've taken my big camera in there lots of times, but I didn't want to take my big camera and a bottle to try and locate different areas of what might be good for photos and not, without actually talking to them first. Yeah. So I kind of got like bootlegged some pictures, and then there's always staff, one or two staff on the ship, because you can go on the ship from the other side. You can go down into it. And one of them kind of saw me taking pictures, and they're like, so, like, what are you taking pictures of there? And I was like, I'm trying to be like all coy and not answering many questions. I was like, yeah, I'm just trying to do like a little research project. I was like, trying not to draw any attention to myself, but clearly didn't do a good enough
offered
job.
them some. I'm sure they would have appreciated it. Just...
Well, and at least like the one I took with me, at least it was sealed. I was like, see, look, it's sealed. I'm not like getting liquored up on a Tuesday at 1 p.m. or whenever I went in there.
Yeah.
This thing's pretty legit.
Just embrace your inner degenerate. It's fine.
Yeah. It's like a 70-year-old woman retired woman who's like a volunteer. It's like, who is this guy?
She probably drinks gin like a motherfucker.
Like when you go through the gallery and you read about this, like they actually built this using tools of the era and built it by hand, and then sailed it across the ocean. Like that's just badass.
Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for humoring me on that.
Yeah. I do think I'm going to take off though.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by, man. I was just thinking, I'm actually surprised it went this long. I only expected it to be like 30 to 60 minutes, but probably will shut her down. But thanks for hopping on, Evan. Appreciate it. Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Have fun.
Hopefully you have a good night resting up. I don't know if the other boys will have a stream going or not, but probably shut this down soon, and we'll catch you later.
Cool. Have a good one, man.
See ya. Peace out. Ah, yes, and then there was one. There could be only one. Well, let's look up one of my favorites. Let's see. I think Evan said he looked up. Oh, where did it go? It's at Basil Hayden's. I think he said Total Wine had it, but let's take a look. Oh, they do have it. Okay, now will they have it at the store where I usually go? I know the zip code by heart, just because it's a long story. But I've only been to the Chanhassen one once. I usually go to the Maple Grove. I think the Maple Grove, if you're in Minneapolis, I think that's the one I like the most. I think it's one of the bigger ones. So, there we go. Look at that, it's cheaper. It's $5 or $6 cheaper than in California. How do you like them apples? Oh my God, they have it. I got to take a drive to Minnesota. Thanks, Mark. We'll see. I'm going to try and maybe we'll see if I can go for another 10 minutes. We'll see what happens. If I make it 10 minutes, awesome. If not, no big deal. But thanks for hanging out. Thanks to Diego, Boston, Logan Hall, Otto, and Vimal. Thanks everybody for coming out today. Oh, Kevin. Can't forget about Kevin. The real G, first comment. Back to the Basil Haydens. Okay, so that's there. Let's see. That's there. Now let's do this. Let's look up. Let's look up the local one here. I laugh when Cars and Chrono calls it California, and I'm like, bro, I'm in Canada. It's basically the same thing, if not more. So, government-controlled run liquor stores, gotta love it. And now I think I'm talking to myself. I don't think anybody else is watching. Perfect. This is when the crazy Kyle can come out. Oh man, they have it here too. Oh, I should maybe go try this. So $80 Canadian versus 60 US. Actually, that's basically about the same. So that wouldn't even be worth buying down in the States. Wouldn't even be worth it. Oh man, I might have to pick this up. Yeah, might have to go see if they got a sample of it first. So I don't want to get burned. There's nothing worse than buying something without trying it and then getting burned on it. That sucks. That's done. That's done. In the name of Kenny, that's done. That's done. Come back to this one too for another day. Basil Hayden's. Let's see what Willow Park, one of my preferred Calgary liquor stores, has. Don't have that one. Interesting. Okay. So far, what is that? 10 year. I bet you that one's pretty good. Let's check that one out shortly. Toasted barrel, that's probably good too. Interesting, they don't have it. Oh, they have this. Oh, sold out. Never mind. I got to try this stuff somehow one day. Some of these Rip Van Winkles, Pappy Van Winkles, I've heard so much about them. Apparently they are so legendary. I think this one, my cousin got as a gift. I think that was this one. But I'm not sure. I never had it. Just saw it from far away. Kensington Wine Market. This? That's not Kensington Wine Market. Yeah, Keniston. This place might be what it is. Oh, why is it not working? This is one of Calgary's best liquor stores. This place is unbelievable. Although now they have a couple bigger super liquor stores that are by different companies, but this one always has a place in my heart. This place has always come through for me. No, they don't have it. Interesting. Well, I think that's all she wrote, boys and girls. Oh, let's take a look at this quickly. Basil Hayden's. Next time I'll have to do a watch one. Oh, somebody else is here. Next time I'll have to do a little bit some watch talk on the next one. Let's see. Basil Hayden's 10-year bourbon. Where's the info? What the? Oh, that's not very good. Not a lot of information on this one. Thanks for nothing. Well, BSW, you're letting me down. Let's go back to Willow Park. Feeding the ducks. I think you're done for the night. Time for night driving, and then we'll call it a day. Yeah, this looks like it'd be fantastic. And all the Pappy Van Winkle here is special order 1 or 2 times a year, so it's not even going to be on their website, I bet. Yeah, it's not. All right, well, that's all she wrote, fam. Thanks for coming by. What's this do? That cancels it. Oh, yeah. All right. Gonna hit the big red button. That's going to be that. Catch you in the next one. Good test. Good test. This is like the test on the pad at the Kennedy Space Center. Went all good. Good stream. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Mark. Chat sent. Good stream. I think we had a peak of 5 or 6 people. Not too shabby. All right. Peace.